Well, we'll get started because it's already 12:01. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Katie Golsteyn. So, I am a director of operations for a Lifetime Realty Group out of the Southwest office. And I'm also a business coach with Your Realty Leverage. So, I work with other director of operations across the country and help them navigate different situations and help their teams to be able to expand, etc. And today, what we're talking about to kick things off, and then after that, then we'll open it up to the group if there's things that you want to talk about, or a system you'd love feedback on, or something that you need to develop and you're kind of at square one. I'm sure somebody else on this call has maybe the system that you need some help with that they could share with you. So it'll just be like an open forum, if you will. So the first thing I wanted to talk through was around client events. And the reason for that is because a couple of months ago now, we sent out some feedback to this community around things they wanted to hear more about. And one of the things that I got a lot of feedback on was around events, and not necessarily just client events, like what events are you doing, but how are you making these client events impactful? How are you generating referrals as a result of the client events that you're choosing to do? And so that's where I wanted to start today's conversation, and then we'll open it up. So to kick things off with client events, let's start off by sharing what client events are people doing right now, or have you done in the past? And feel free, you can put them in the chat too.
Our team, well, look, I'm with the Cricketburg group, for those that don't know me. We really only do the ones that everyone at KW does, like Pi Day, Trunk or
Mm-hmm.
Treat. And we've had really good success with those. Like our
Yep.
clients look forward to that every single year. They love it. Um, we've just been struggling on events outside of that where we
Mm-hmm.
can have everybody because James is just such a nice guy that he doesn't want to do like a VIP event or anything. He doesn't he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want anyone to not be invited. So we're trying to
Oh,
find
sure. Yep.
an event that is budget friendly, but something that we could invite hundreds of people to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're open to ideas if anyone has any.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's super helpful. So, for some, and I just don't ever want to assume. So some of the stuff that Jessica's talking about, some of the events that the Market Center has put on, which is a huge value add, I will say. In my experience working with the operations people across the country, most market centers don't operate the way that ours do in terms of putting on client events for agents and teams to be able to plug into. It's incredible. So, if that's something that's new to you, if that's something that you haven't plugged into those events in the past, I would highly recommend giving one of them a try. There's one coming up in June. Kathleen can probably talk a little bit more about that one, but all the legwork is done for you. All you're having to do is plug into the marketing to get your people there. So just a little plug for that because it is a very incredibly leveraged thing for you in your business. Even if you run a larger team, like our team, we have over 20 people on our team, and we are still plugging into those events because that's leverage for me. That's less planning that I need to do as somebody that oversees our events. So that's a great way for us to be able to use what the Market Center is offering. So some of the events that Jessica was talking about that the Market Center has done in the past, we've done like an e-recycle event, we've done Pi Day, we've done an Easter Bunny event recently.
Shred event we did last
That
year.
event. Yep, yep, that's right. Trying to think what else. I think it's pretty much have been those, which has been awesome. Um, because something to think about as we're thinking about client events in general, and I have to remind our team of this all the time, is that client events are great. They're great. They're typically a lot of fun. They can cost some money. But the purpose of a client event, it's very important that you determine what the purpose of your client event is. If your client event is the purpose of it is to generate referrals, then you need to build your system around this client event to generate referrals. If the purpose of your client event is to get more Google reviews, you need to design it so that you get more Google reviews. The work comes in for the agents to be calling and texting and emailing their people inside of the database to let them know about this event. It's a very easy way for them to reach out to their database with everything that they need to say around an event. So, because an event is what it is, but if the work doesn't go in on the front end for an agent, it could be that the event is a total waste. Does that make sense? Because it's like, otherwise, I mean, what's the point? The point is for them to create conversation with their people to stay top of mind. And the event is just like icing on top, right? It's adding value back to them. That's what I like about a lot of the market center events, is that it's solving a problem for our clients theoretically, right? They can come and shred stuff. They can come get rid of old electronics that they don't know where to take, things like that. So, oh yes, thank you for putting that. Yeah, Kathleen just put the details in the chat. So it's on my list to work on today too, actually, to get that information out to our team. So, okay, cool. So then we have a couple other ones. So Stephanie, you said a private movie screening, a summer cookout at a park. I love that idea. Has anybody else done any other client events? And they don't have to be huge events. It could literally be an event where it's you and four other people. It doesn't, I think sometimes we get some of this a little mixed up in the sense that it needs to be this big thing with a lot of people. It doesn't have to be a big thing with a lot of people. It could be that, there's an event. I want to say it was maybe Alex Dinamarca had one of the towns, they were showing a movie on a big screen in a park, and he basically used that and called his people and invited them to it. It's not his event, it was just a local community event, that he was informing people about and inviting people. It gave him a reason to call. So it doesn't always have to be this like big thing. So any other events that we've done so far? I'm just looking for a document I have that lists off a couple different and some other ideas for client events. I have some too that I can talk about that our team has done. And the reason I'm talking about that is so that for you, if anybody else on this call or anybody else listening to this recording, if you're like, oh, I want to do a summer cookout in the park, cool. I'm going to reach out to Stephanie to figure out like how they did that. That's not something that our team has done, or a private movie screening. I'm going to reach out to Stephanie to find out, how did you do that event? What did you do? Where did you do it? What movie? How did you pick the movie? How long did you take to market it? Things like that. Here we go. I just found what I was looking for here. So some other ideas are, we've done a happy hour event before for our team. You could do call in to win events. So that's a big one, that there's a team out of Florida, the Tony Baroni team. They are, if you guys don't follow them on social media, I would recommend following them literally for the purpose of checking out the different client events that they do. Here, I'll put the link in. But they're doing one, it looks like, coming up. So their events, they don't do like in-person client events. Their events are call in to win events. So it looks like they're giving away 2 tickets to a Tampa Bay Rays game in the lower bowl behind home plate. So they're giving away 2 different tickets for that. Like sometimes they've given away 2 tickets to a cruise. It's like pretty amazing. But for them, those are their client events that they're doing. So they're having people call them to get entered to win this big giant prize that they're doing. And I think they do it maybe once a quarter, I believe. So the reason I bring that idea up is because if you're a group that, to your point, Jessica, you don't want to leave anybody out. You're not trying to, you don't want to have client events just for like VIP people. Chris Ruskowitz is very, very good at that, by the way. If you are looking for somebody to talk to about client events specifically for a VIP group, I would say she's your girl that I'm aware of that's very good at doing that. But call in to win events are great for to be able to include to anybody and to help you to grow your database. So you could do call in to win events around Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July. I mean, there's all kinds of ideas of that you could tie it around a holiday, something fun for your team. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
see.
actually why Robbie's not on because he's doing that for Level Up today. And they're using it
Oh,
as
perfect.
a way to like update contact information in their database too, which is nice.
Yep. Yep. Totally. I love that. Do you know what they're giving away?
No, I probably should have asked that though when he was telling me about it.
I only ask because I mean, I've seen so many cool ideas. I've seen people give away like a big Yeti cooler, or it definitely needs to be something that is of value. Otherwise, people are not
Hmm.
going to call you or not going to text you or whatever means it is that you're connecting with them. But um, we did one for 2 Packer tickets. So we actually had one of our sponsors who is our main insurance person. He has season tickets to the Packers. And so he donated 2 tickets for us to be able to use, 2 great tickets for a Packer game. And we did a call in to win event giving that away. So it didn't cost us any money. The only thing that it cost us was time, basically, to put it together and put together like what we want to say and things like that. But other than that, it was fully paid for because Joe donated them. So, another big one that our team has done, I think there was only one year that we didn't do it, but it was pictures in the park or photos in the park. I've heard it called too. So we invite our clients to come get family photos done, and we invite our entire database for that. I've seen other ones where it's been like photos with Santa, golf outings, movie events, like you mentioned, Stephanie. So there's lots of ideas around client events. There's no shortage of ideas. Something I would say too, if you are looking for different ideas and maybe struggling, we'll use Jessica's as an example, where you want to do a client event, you don't want to exclude anybody. How could we do something like that? Put something like that into Chat GPT. Talk about exactly what you're trying to do and see what ideas come from a suggestion on what you could potentially do in your area. Be very specific about the area that you're in, things that your team likes to do. I think the more information you give it, it's going to give you better results. But that's something that you could do too. So, so we rattle off a bunch of different client events that people have done. Like I said, there's no shortage of those ideas. The thing that is, I would argue, is the most important thing is to determine the purpose of this client event. So, for any of you that are in an operations type of role and your leader comes to you and says, hey, I heard about Tony Baroni's team doing this giveaway. We should do the same thing. It's very good to go back and ask questions around, okay, great. What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of that? So like Jessica said, it sounds like maybe one of the purposes of Level Up's event is to update contact information. It could be that the purpose of your event is to generate referrals. Okay, so we've got a call in to win event, and the purpose of this is to generate referrals. How do we do that? And then go to work to solve how do we do that? And brainstorming how do we generate referrals from this specific client event. So, because ultimately, I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. It just depends on the event and what you're looking to do. Has anybody on the call right now, when you have done events that you've done, have you spent time thinking about what the purpose of the event is? Or like determined a purpose of the event before it even like came to fruition? And there's no shame if you haven't. We have not always operated like that. So in the past, we would do an event and there was no purpose. We were just doing an event because we were doing a movie event because the team has done movie events for the last 10 years. And it was fun and people liked it. Our clients really liked it. And And all of that is okay. It's not like bad, but it's like, how do we take that and elevate it? And we can elevate it by determining, giving it, assigning a purpose to it. And then that's going to allow us to judge, like, was this event successful or not? So Stephanie said we had a Google sign-in sheet to see if they were thinking about buying or selling within the next year. Yeah, that's perfect. You've got them there, so you might as well ask, you know. Something that we took from Jeff Glover training was one of the events that we did. We actually rented out, oh, it's slipping on me, Whirly Ball. So just down here in Brookfield, where we reserved the whole area. So like the bowling area, laser tag upstairs, and Whirly Ball. And we invited our clients. And what we did is we actually told our clients to bring two guests with them. So this is something, if you've ever sat in on a Jeff Glover training, they do talk about this with client events. So the purpose of it for us, the purpose of that event was to grow our database. So the people that we know, like, and trust that have worked with us in the past, they are, you know, big fans of our business and the people on our team. We want more people like them, and they know other people, right? So what better way to basically leverage the great people we have? Hey, bring two friends with you to this event, and that's going to help us to be able to grow our database and be able to slowly like touch on those new people that are not in our database. So that's one way that you could do that. To, if the purpose of this event was to grow your database, that could be a really great initiative to help you grow your database, with it not being like random strangers. Like there is some type of connection to the people that were coming to that event. Like they know people that you know. So there's a little bit more of a connection there. Some other things that I've seen and things that we have done when it comes to assigning the purpose of an event. One event that we did, the sole purpose of it was to generate reviews. So what we said was, we are going to get 25 Google reviews at the end of this event. And if that happens, this event was a success. That's how we were judging whether or not an event was a success, because we know that people go and do research on different businesses and restaurants and everything else, right? To see if they want to buy or whatever that product is. This is one of the biggest investments that people make. So it's important that we have tons of Google reviews, tons of reviews everywhere, really, to highlight the things that we're doing for our clients. So at this event, we had signs like this, like in these stanchions or whatever. So we had a ton of these on a table. And what the agents did is, while people were at, this was one of our pictures in the park event, while people were standing in line waiting for their pictures, the agents were walking around with that piece of paper with a QR code saying like, hey, while you're here, can you leave us a Google review? And it was a very, I would say, easy conversation, because they're already feeling really good. You're giving them a free photo shoot. That's probably like a $400 value for their family. They're feeling really good. They're more than likely and happy and willing to give you a review. So that was a big success for us, because we know that that is going to help us to find more people to do business with. So, what other ideas do you all have? And feel free, you can put it in the chat too, of like the purpose of a client event. So we've talked about generating more, growing your database was the purpose of it, which could then help you to grow your business. We've talked about reviews, which could also help you to grow your business as well. What other ideas do we have?
James and I were actually just talking about this morning, because we were talking about events, and he said all he really cares about, because we are 100% referral based business,
Mhm.
that what he truly cares about is giving back to our clients and like
Perfect.
standing out in that way to them, because
Mhm.
we obviously we're a family team and we treat everyone we work with like family, and we want to keep being 100% referral based.
Mhm.
So James is like, I just want to do something that is giving back to our clients as a thank you.
Yeah, I love that. And when you think about it, I would argue, especially because that is the way that your business operates, is very heavy in referrals, giving back and loving on the people that have supported you and have helped you to grow your current business. That's a great way to love on them, make them feel really good, and continue to encourage them to tell more people about you and say, hey, you know, my realtor does all these different events for me. If you work with them, you would be invited to probably a minimum of 4 of these events a year, for example, or something along those lines. So I love that. That's awesome. The other thing that I like about that too is, and also knowing your team and knowing your personalities, like that's in alignment with who your team is, which I think is awesome. Um, like that's very much in alignment with values and all of it, which is also important. So
Oh, that's good to hear. Thanks for saying
yeah,
that.
yeah, totally. Um, so the reason that I wanted to bring up this conversation is because when we think about client events, there's a lot of different, we talked about a lot of different client events that you could do, understanding that we need to determine a purpose for them in some way, shape, or form. And establishing the purpose is going to help you know whether or not you're winning, like whether or not you're moving in the right direction when it comes to why you're spending the money to do that event. We're not just hosting events to just host events to be able to like have fun. It's okay to have fun, and let's be really purposeful with our time, energy, money that we're putting back into our business to get something out of it. So something that also might help with generating more referrals through client events. Looking at some of my notes from some of the other client events that we did a date night one night. So we sent out a message to everybody in our database, and we were like, "Hey, we want to provide a date night experience for you. Pick the kind of pizza that you want, the kind of pop that you want." We had like a 2 liter of pop for people, and then at the end, we also said, hey, if you know of anybody that is interested in real estate or buying or selling, it was something to that effect. Um, and you can give us their information. We'll also have a Total Wine gift card for you when you pick up your pizza. So we had several people that gave us names and the permission to be able to call the people that they knew for them to then, when they came to pick up their pizza and the pop that they had, they also got a Total Wine gift card for their date night experience. So,
How about
um,
how about I'm new. So if you want to kind
mhm.
of come out, right? What's some ideas to reintroduce yourself to a community that knows you in a different world, a different arena to where you're at
Yeah,
now?
yeah. What a great question. I love that. And thank you for being here. That's awesome. Um, something that I've seen with a handful of agents when they are newer into the business and they have a pretty wide date. When I say like database, they have a wide network of people that know them, like them, trust them as a human. When it comes to real estate, you could do something like a happy hour event. Depending on the size or how many people, maybe it's something that you open your home or wherever you live to invite people to come over to have some appetizers and maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing. Um, what does everybody else think? I love that question. Or any other ideas around like, hey, I'm new to this business. How can I tell the people that know, like, and trust me that I'm in this business now?
We'll put it in chat GPT.
Yeah. I know this group has answers, and I know this isn't always like the most talkative group, which I totally understand. That's okay. Um, something something that I think when I saw Alex, who is somebody that's in our office, when he first got into real estate, I also had just joined this team. So I had the opportunity to be able to watch him really just dive into this career in general. And he started doing some smaller client events that then continued to kind of explode. And he started, I'm trying to think when it was, but I know that he did a like a Santa event. So he invited his people to come get photos with Santa. It was a way for him to tell people that he's in real estate. So it gives him a reason to call people to say, like, hey, I'm in real estate. I just got into real estate. Here's why I got into real estate. Here's why I want to be in real estate, or something along those lines. And I want to invite you to something that I thought you might find to be really fun or of value or something like that. Like, I would actually use even the event that we have coming up in June that the Market Center is doing. Call your people and say, hey, I'm in real estate. We can, you can obviously work out a language that is authentic to you and makes sense to you as to why you got into this business, and say, um, I've partnered with a great group, and we're actually hosting a client event that you can come and bring electronics and all kinds of things to be able to recycle them. Do you want me to send you the link to the information or something like that?
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Yeah,
I got a
totally.
little add on there. So
Yeah.
I'd say one of them is that you can do there's a KW social media post on the marketing concierge, or you can just make that on your social media. Another
Mhm.
way is to just connect with them and then just ask about them, and then they'll ask about you, and that's when you just bring it up. Because if you ask them, hey, what's going on? Like, how you been? What have you been up to? They'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, I've been blah 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 doing this, and then they'll be like, oh, what about you? And then you just tell them that you're a realtor.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's been slowly happening already. In one of our former, I live in Racine, Wisconsin, and our
Okay.
former police chief, he has a listing for his house. I just don't have no buyers yet, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, but it's starting to happen like that slowly but surely.
That's awesome. That's really great. I also think, I mean, think about, things that you like to do. And I know that can be hard to answer sometimes, because I feel like as we get older, we don't really have a lot of hobbies. And I think it's something that I personally believe people not need, they would benefit from having a hobby. So think about something that you like to do. I'll use
Ah,
myself as an example with golf, right? Like, I love
mhm.
golf. And I have a small group of ladies that we golf with in a golf league. And when we were talking, I was like, hey, let's all get together and golf. And then I was like, hey, I'll be the one that sets up our tea times. And I'll be the one that helps us to do X, Y, and Z. And I just use my work email because I saw it as a chance to be able to network with other people who liked to do the same thing I like to do. And to be able to, go hang out after work. And of course, like things like, we're always yapping, right? We're not like quiet golfers. So, I mean, obviously, then real estate comes up, and it's like a very easy kind of like in. So, thinking about hobbies that you might have, maybe using that as some leverage to be able to get it out that you're in real estate. And that's for somebody who is new to the business and somebody that's been in the business for a long time, I
I,
think.
I just thought about an idea when a fundraiser. I was in the nonprofit world for 30 years, but one of the fundraisers that brought, I would say, high-end clients,
Yep.
I used to do a cigar dinner, and I
Oh,
partnered with
cool.
one of the restaurants here, donated the food, blah blah blah. But I can
Yeah.
still do that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
like you
Mhm.
say, kind of happy hour, cigars, and
Mhm.
that brings a very specific clientele, to tell you the truth. Which a lot of
Totally.
them are they're the golfing guys too, right? So
Yep.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
look into that.
Yeah. Um, I mean, the background that you have, and I don't know you, we just met, but the background that you have, I was told this a very long time ago, and I appreciated hearing this. Working in nonprofit, if you can work in a nonprofit and raise money for things like that, you can literally do anything. Like as a, when you're raising money for different nonprofits, I mean, you're asking for money from people and you're not giving them anything in return.
Right. But good,
You know?
hopefully good feelings, right? That's about all you
Yes,
can
exactly.
give.
Good feelings and maybe a tax write-off depending on the amount, And so, but it's like thinking about those skills and how they translate over into this business, like it's an awesome opportunity, and using all the things that you did in what you were doing, same type of thing. A lot of those nonprofits operate based off of sponsorships, like you said, or a place donating food. Like use that same mentality to do your own thing. Maybe find a lender that you're looking to partner with and get to know and have them cover some of the cost, or a title company or an insurance rep that's also looking to build their business. That'd be a great way for you to be able to introduce them to people that they don't know. And like it's a win-win for everybody that's a part of it, and it helps you to cover the cost of whatever event that you decided to do. So yeah, good question. I love that. Okay. Any other questions about events? Or any other thoughts about events? I love what Kathleen put in here too. Don't get sucked into the analysis paralysis. Just try something. If it doesn't work, if it's a flop, try something else. It's very true. It doesn't all have to be perfect by any means. I mean, the other thing that I think is great about this group and just the groups on Facebook inside of our offices is this idea that if, let's say you wanted to do a client event where it was like, I want to do a happy hour, let's say. If you were to put a note in the Facebook group, I can almost guarantee you that 3 or 4 people would be like, hey, I'll send you this playbook that we have, this document that lays out everything that you would need to do to host an event. So you're not starting from scratch. It might not be to the same level as that group did it, and that's okay too. It doesn't have to be. Just because they did it at that level doesn't mean that it was successful either. So it's like take what you can from those groups and be able to make it your own, keeping in mind what the purpose of it is. Like, why am I doing this event? So good. Okay. So now we can open it up. I mean, if people have ideas or things that they're wanting help with when it comes to systems, or something they're having a hard time with. What I've been hearing quite a bit in a lot of my coaching conversations is there's a lot of like friction between operations people and sales agents, and trying to understand like how sales agents think and how operations people think, which oftentimes is very different. So what do you have? What kind of things would be helpful to talk about in this group?
Do all operations people have a sales background, or do they some come in directly in operations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. From what I've seen, I feel like most people that come into this business when they're in operations, they don't have a sales background. They have a background in perfecting systems, documenting everything, like a process for everything,
Right,
very
right.
process oriented. And I think that's why I like leading these calls, and I'm fine talking in front of a group of people because I was in sales before I got into this operations role, actually. So I do understand both. I have a unique perspective to see like both sides of that. But it's usually they're like the polar opposites. Salespeople are running quick. They want things quick. They don't want anything to bog them down, not really into the details. And operations people are like consistent and they want the details. And it's like that's where that friction, I think, sometimes can be created. So
And that's like that's like I think in any organization, even in education, right? You have a
yeah.
teacher that understands teaching, but then when they get their master's degree and become an assistant principal, now they cross over out of the union into right, and now they understand more processes, where teachers or in the nonprofit world, the
Yep.
frontline workers, like you just said, like sales, they want things immediately. They may not plan it all out.
Yep.
And then I was a program, then an operations person, and
Okay.
I had to slow people down, and they can't stand that,
Yep.
can't stand it. So I
Yep.
don't know. I think sometimes it's just an understanding of, I think sales and program need to understand the importance of the process. In our cases, there's probably legal issues, right? Making sure if we don't do these things, that we
Yep.
may not be able to close a deal, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's understanding
100%.
it's understanding that function in terms of education. Is I think maybe sales, those who are just out
Yep.
there and they're extroverts, and they get out there and they love
Mhm.
that part like I do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to plan it out. You have to, you have to make
Mhm.
sure and communicate with your operations person at the same time.
Yes. Yep. Yep. 100%. 100%. Something when I first started in this role, and I've been in this role for almost 6 years. When I started, I actually met with all the sales agents, and it's something I actually continue to tell them because I think it's important that they know that when I'm asking them questions, I'm really coming from a place of curiosity. I'm not coming from a place of like, well, why do you do it this way? I want to understand why you do it that way so that I know why you're doing what you're doing. Because if I know why you're doing what you're doing, it gives me more information and more intel when we're developing systems or putting together a process. Like, how can I make this process seamless for you and not like the total opposite of what you're used to doing? Because you can create the best systems in the world. And I've seen it with a lot of real estate teams. They have fantastic systems and processes and nobody uses them. And it's like, well, that system and process isn't effective. Might be efficient, but it's not effective. And so what's the point then? So I'm constantly saying I'm just asking because I'm curious to really understand, and I've learned a lot. And I think it's good to continue to ask them because they're the ones doing this work. And it's like, how do we develop these systems and these processes and tools for them to do their job more effectively and then move to it being efficient? So, which isn't always easy because again, like if you're looking at anything as like a disc assessment or a personality assessment, they're typically like the polar opposite, which can probably drive each other crazy with how they operate. So it's also like understanding, having enough probably social awareness of understanding that, hey, we think about this different, but there is some sort of middle ground that we can get to if we both desire to do that. So fun stuff working with people, right? Is there anything that would be helpful to talk about as it relates to like um anything about your role, like more clearly defining the role that you're doing inside of operations? That's another thing that's been coming up quite a bit in my coaching calls is reworking some job descriptions. Because the job description that they had when they first started in the role that they were in is very different than the role that they're currently doing. So we've kind of taken like an audit of all of the things that they're responsible for and comparing that to their current job description and updating it and like taking the initiative to update that so that their job description reflects what they're currently doing and their compensation reflects what they're currently doing as well. So I know that's not everybody's favorite topic, but we also don't work because we just like love to work, right? Like you're working for a purpose to provide for something or someone or to do things. So it's important to continue to have those conversations, I believe, anyways. Well, any other questions or things that we can help answer operationally at all? Or things you're struggling with? A system that's working really well for you right now? And it's okay if we don't. Like I said, I know that operations are typically not the group that wants to speak up. So that's okay. That's why they have me. I can sit here and yap forever. So no, I'm just kidding. I don't want to waste anybody's time either. Well, if we don't have anything else to chat about, we can jump off and you can have the gift of time for an extra like 20 minutes back in your schedule. If anybody has any questions around the initial topic of events, sponsorships for events, anything like that, I'm very happy to talk offline if it's helpful. It's something that I've been doing for this team for a long time, and I'm just going to put my email in the chat. Oops, that is not my email. 1 second. I'm not a multitasker. lifetimerealty.com. There we go. I'm happy to chat further if it's helpful at all around client events, things that we've done. I'm happy to share playbooks that we have, anything like that. So if I can be of service or help, let me know. Okay. Cool. Well, have a great rest of your day and a good week, and we'll see everybody in June. Thank you.